But in the end, sometimes it's down to variance. So playing as much as you can, giving yourself the best possibility to take those wins when they come to you. That's what BBD told me.
BBD was 100% correct. That's exactly how Magic works. But, everybody takes it differently, right?
Right.
By the way, I see Cash Turner and Geddes Cooper strolling by leisurely as they, I'm sure that they took some type of an intentional draw.
Right.
And they did not need to play. Even if they did, they would both be in.
All right, our players are ready, so let's head down to the feature match area here for round 15, GP Atlanta. Welcome to coverage of GP Atlanta. Maria Bartholdi here in the booth with Marshall Sutcliffe, Carlos Romao versus Morgan Tomlinson here in round 15, Kaladesh Limited. This is for top 8.
Yeah, this is a big deal. The winner of this match, both players being at 12-2, Maria, is going to make it into our top 8. The loser is going to have to go home with a very strong record and some pro points, but not that top 8 finish, which is really what they're playing for here.
Carlos is going to start off with a strong play, Servant of the Conduit. He's going to get 2 energy. It's a 2-2, can tap to add any color of mana to your mana pool if you pay an energy. Morgan is going to play Renegade Freighter. Here comes the pain train.
All right, this could be a really good start for Morgan if he's able to constantly crew that freighter and really pile on a bunch of damage. Now, on Carlos's side, he's playing green-black, as you can see. And this is a big chance for him, too, because if he plays a land and plays a 4-drop, he could easily start to pull way ahead of Morgan.
Even without the possibility of having a 3rd land, just knowing that you have that Servant of the Conduit there gives a lot of insurance. If a Pima Outrider happens right now, pretty good.
That'd be a good start.
Carlos Romao probably looking to capitalize as well on his 2002 World Championship spot.
Man, Carlos he's actually got 3 copies of Pima Outrider. You weren't joking around.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, and as you can see, he's got a Malphus squad, but looking at his green, it's pretty strong. 2 Thriving Rhino, 3 Pima Outrider. We see the Servant of the Conduit as well. He's got a Hunt the Weak, an Elegant Edge Crafters, which is a nice one too. And he even has an Armorcraft Judge.
Oof, that could be nice, especially in a green-black deck. And here it comes, Marshall. Renegade Freighter crewed by a Weldfast Monitor from Morgan is going to come in.
Man, that was a pretty aggressive play there from Morgan. You see he
has to tap out.
Fragmentizes a 1/1 token. Just get that thing out of the way.
And Carlos in a position to hit back for the same 5 that Morgan hit.
Yeah, Morgan did that so that it would take the ability of Carlos to double block the Renegade Freighter, and it would guarantee Morgan that he would get in with it there. Sometimes when you run Fragmentize in your main deck, you're happy to find any target for it, and the fact that it freed up the ability to get in for 5 and line up on another attack next turn, Morgan said, good enough for me.
Yeah, sometimes you have to make those plays that kind of feel a little bad, like, I wish I didn't have to use my Fragmentize on a 1/1. But it's sometimes the right play.
Yeah, I kind of like it from Morgan here, actually.
And he is playing red-white, which is a deck that wants to be aggressive.
Yeah, and specifically with vehicles, too, so he's kind of really doing the red-white thing here. Carlos, though, in the middle part of the game, should be able to go bigger.
Here he's going to play another copy of Malphus Squad. This comes along with a servo once again.
He does have 2 of those total in his deck, so that would be both of them. We won't see any more.
Squad goals. Carlos getting in for 5. Pass the turn back.
He's kind of goading Morgan here. Like, hey, do it again, man.
Yeah.
Tap everything you've got to hit me for 5, and I'll crack back for way more. Interestingly, Carlos has a Rush of Vitality and a Subtle Strike in his deck. The Rush of Vitality can be really great in a matchup like this where if he can resolve that on one of his Malphite squads or one of his huge green creatures, it can be a big life total swing.
Morgan deciding not to crew the freighter and instead just attack with the Willed Fast Monitor, giving it menace.
So Carlos could block, but it would take the Malphite squad and friend in order to trade off here.
Yeah,
and
Carlos
he could just take 3.
not interested in that. Morgan's follow-up play.
This is important.
Thriving Ibex. 2/4 comes along with 2 energy.
Interesting. After an aggressive start, Morgan has really pumped the brakes here. He could have attacked for 8 damage. And with his opponent at 15, that represented a 2-turn kill. Now, Carlos has a lot of ways to interrupt that, but he could have forced him to do it. Instead, he only gets in for 3, and he sort of awkwardly left the Renegade Freighter back on blocks.
Yeah, Renegade Freighter only getting +1/+1 trample when it attacks. Not in a happy position to block.
Yeah, and with 2 menace creatures on the other side, I'd be pretty worried if I was Morgan that I'm just going to lose this race as it stands, and might have just gone ahead, played the Ibex, tapped it, crewed the Renegade, and got in there with both that and the Monitor.
All right, so Carlos attacks with both the Malphite squads. Morgan takes it, plays a Renegade Freighter of his own. Morgan drops to 9.
He's left himself with 2 mana available thanks to the Conduit, and he easily could have a card like Subtle Strike or Rush of Vitality.
Taking a look at Renegade Freighter is a card we've talked about a lot this weekend. Just goes in a lot of decks, and is a real beating if you can get it out early. Morgan's going to play 2/1 Fabricate 2.
Yeah, Visionary Augmenter there.
That helps with the menace that he's facing on the other side of the battlefield.
It's really nice against the menace creatures. Can Morgan keep attacking, though? That's a question. That first attack with the Ibex is also something that he'd be interested in, just so he can grow it.
Looks like he agrees with you, Marshall. Swings with the Ibex, gives it a counter. Are you suspicious at all if you see this coming at you?
Not really. I would, if I was Carlos, I would assume that Morgan is trying to set up even better blocks for the future, maybe attacks, just by getting that energy used up in a counter on the Ibex here.
Carlos considering if he maybe potentially wants to block.
If he wanted, he could use the Conduit to crew the Renegade Freighter and put that plus the Servo in front. That's 5. He would trade off his freighter.
Seems a little risky.
Yeah, there's some risk to it for sure, though with only 2 red mana available for Morgan Tomlinson, it would probably work. The real question for Carlos is just, does he think he can kill Morgan? Because if that's the case, the Renegade Freighter is going to be part of that puzzle, and he's not going to want to have it be dead here.
There is Subtle Strike. Giving a creature -1/-1, putting a +1/+1 counter on one of his own creatures. Goes on Servant of the Conduit.
He falls down to 9.
All tied up. Draws a swamp for turn. This is where sometimes you can see in games like this, it gets attacking gets a little more complicated because you have vehicles on both sides of the battlefield.
Oh, for
just
sure.
kind of staring at each other.
Especially that particular vehicle.
Yes.
Because it cracks back so hard
Here we see an interesting play. Carlos
Oh,
turns everything sideways, so a servo is crewing a sky skiff, and the sky skiff is crewing the freighter.
that's right. He decided to put the +1/+1 counter on his conduit last turn, which meant that the 1/1 servo didn't pick it up and couldn't crew the freighter on its own. So he found kind of a tricky way to get that freighter going. Chained together some crews there.
Yeah, big attack from Carlos. Morgan is responding by crewing his own freighter. Looks like a train crash is going to happen.
You're right into each other.
Has to double block those Malphus squads.
It's a big attack there for Carlos.
Yeah. So Malphus squad will go down, as well as the freighters and a couple of servos. Pass the turn back.
This is a really close game. Morgan's down to 1, but he's got Carlos down to 9.
Here we see 9th Bridge Patrol from Morgan.
Why did he tap 3 mana there? Okay, he just got a little ahead of himself, that's all.
Salivating gremlins.
Looks like he's just dead here, though.
Yeah.
Just throw that skiff in the sky, and that should do it, right?
Yep.
Well, he's going to go ahead and attack now, though. Cat's out of the bag here, I think, Morgan.
Yeah. He realizes he's going to scoop. Carlos will take down that first game.
One of the good for Carlos.
Yeah. Green-black sort of tokens and fabricate strategy for Carlos versus a more aggressive red-white build for Morgan. Let's take a look in at Chris Fennell versus Kyle Peters. Looks like we're just getting out of combat here. Ooh, a Diabolic Tutor from Chris. What
That's
is
not
he
a card
gonna
you see
get?
very often. He must have something insane to get with that.
I
It was
think
a
he got
demon.
eliminate the competition.
Oh, is that what it was?
Could have been. That's what I think I saw.
Okay, so if that's what it is, what does he have? He's got a couple of servos to throw away, and maybe even like an aviary mechanic,
Yeah.
and he just gets to wipe the board of Kyle Peters. Just kill his 3 creatures.
Kyle Peters is going to cast Harness Lightning
Mm-hmm.
on the ambitious Etherborn. Hits the bin.
That was end step.
Only 2 cards in hand for Kyle as well. Yeah, Diabolic Tutor, certainly not a card you see played a lot in draft.
Yeah, Chris has his own style. You know, he's known for being a limited player, and he knows what he's doing. And sometimes he does play cards that you wouldn't expect to see very often, and that's one of them. Diabolic Tutor it's not very good. It looks good when you read it because you think, great, it's whatever the
I
best
can get
card in my
anything,
deck
yeah.
is. Yeah, the problem is that it's very slow to take that much mana to go get a card. And there are certainly decks, like looking at the matchup that we were watching on our main table, that will punish you so hard for playing a card like that.
Kyle Peters is going to attach his goggles to Chief of the Foundry. Pass the turn back. I think he drew a Propeller Pioneer. When you've got a card like Eliminate the Competition, you've always got to consider, too, what are my follow-up plays? Are they going to be better than my opponents?
Mm-hmm. It does have its cost. Also, you know, you won't see it too often, but you also have to factor in counter spells.
Yeah?
You know, it is part of the cost of Eliminate the Competition when you cast it to sacrifice some number of creatures, and if they counter it, your creatures are gone.
That would be one of the most brutal blowouts that could possibly happen. Kyle tapping 2 red for some thriving grubs. Get a couple more energy, which is relevant because of his Whirler Virtuoso.
Yeah, can you see how many energy he has there?
I think
6, 5.
I'm not sure. It could be 3.
Could be a 3.
We're going to take a break from this match, go back to our main table. Carlos Romao versus Morgan Tomlinson. They are ready for game 2.
So am I.
So am I. Carlos up a game.
He's just 1 game away here.
1 win puts him into the top 8.
Interesting.
Morgan, 2 planes.
You see Morgan has taken pretty severe mulligan here.
Servant of the Conduit for Carlos.
He's back up to 5 cards here, but he's mulliganed at least twice.
Impeccable timing takes down that Servant. Follow-up play, Thriving Rhino. All Morgan can do is play some goggles and pass the turn.
This could be a quick one, Maria.
Yeah. Carlos cracking in, putting a counter on the Rhino.
He's going to do that next turn, too. Whoa,
Yep.
He's going to put 2 counters on 2 Rhinos next turn, it looks like.
There's a mountain for Morgan. Maybe too little too late. Playing a Glint Sleeve Artisan.
That is not going to hang.
Doesn't
No,
match up well.
He does get to equip, though,
Oh, yeah.
automatically.
It is an Artificer. Gets +1/+2 thanks to those goggles.
Yeah. So this may halt Carlos from attacking with that second Rhino. Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen because it actually gives Morgan a double block.
He's just gonna throw the
Morgan's double
servo.
block just went away, though.
Renegade Freighter from Carlos. And
Sage of
Sage.
Shayla's Claim, yeah.
Shayla's Claim.
Yeah, this is, well, this could get interesting. Morgan has peeled multiple lands in a row.
Passes the turn. Chief of the Foundry for Carlos. He's going to use it to crew the freighter.
By the way, this is about the time in the game where we start wondering if Morgan has Fumigate in his deck. He does not.
Okay. I was like, Marshall, do you know something I don't know?
Yes, he does not.
Giving some more counters. Morgan responds with Sky Whaler's Shot.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. Still going to take some damage, but he gets the Scry. Puts it on the bottom. The Artisan jumps in front of the Rhino.
Yeah, they're just going to bounce off of each other here.
Tapping 4. Thriving Ibex. A solid blocker. Though Carlos certainly still has the upper hand in this match.
Yeah, he's working with the benefit of being up a game as it sits. But then on top of that, he's also just significantly ahead on board here.
You can see he's potentially lined up some of his creatures for who's going to crew what. Thinking very carefully about his attacks. When you're this late in a GP and the top 8 is so close, You don't want to make a misplay.
Yeah, he's also facing down 8 toughness here from Morgan. And no attack.
Wow.
He could have gone for the train and traded off.
Morgan's got to be happy about that.
Yeah, I agree. This could be a way for Morgan to scrap his way back in this thing.
Another glint sleeve artisan.
Okay.
Another servo. We can see it's funny, Morgan appears to be in the position of putting up a wall when normally he would like to be the one beating down.
That's true. But Glint Sleeve Artisan is a very versatile card and is doing quite a nice job on defense here.
Sometimes you just want a 3-3 for 3.
It's true.
It's still, Carlos still has the option of attacking with that Renegade Freighter just to take out some of Morgan's creatures. Carlos, see him there? Considering his next play. Every little decision makes a big difference at this level.
Jeez, another copy of Chiefs of the Foundry?
If that freighter gets crewed,
Does attack a 7 power?
yeah, it's a lot bigger thanks to those Chiefs. In some respects, what are you thinking here, Marshall? Do you think it's more beneficial to just attack and take out some of the creatures with 7 trample damage? Or are you more content to just kind of stay back?
So it depends on what you're going to do next. Like, if he can clear away some of the attackers and then produce another good attacker, absolutely. Get those things out of the way.
Here
Wow.
we go.
Here we go.
Some major decisions here from Morgan on how he's going to block. Carlos still has 3 open mana, could represent any number of tricks. Morgan, 1 white mana open, which also could represent Fragmentize. Oh, sorry, that's sorcery. Built to last.
There you go.
Looks like he's interested in trading with the Sage. Moving Glint Sleeve Artisan and the Ibex in front of the Rhino, and the other Glint Sleeve Artisan in front of the Chief of the Foundry, leaving the train unblocked. We're getting our life totals updated for you. The board a lot clearer now after that attack. Carlos passes the turn back. Morgan drops to 4. Still only on 4 mana. Playing out a Visionary Augmenter. Deciding to put counters on it. Passes back to Carlos.
Looks like we got those life totals updated now.
Decided he wanted a 4-3, more than a 2-1 with a couple of servos.
Yeah, that at least can trade off for the train. if both of the chiefs were to die.
You can see Carlos doing some math there on the table, planning out his attacks. He's going to crew the freighter.
This is not looking good for Morgan Tomlinson. Carlos Romao could be on the verge of this top 8 here.
Hunt the weak.
Wow.
He's going to give the freighter a +1/+1 counter
Kill something.
and fight the artificer or artisan. Crunch.
I think he's dead. It's 8 power.
Yep,
And that's game.
there it is. Carlos Romao into the top 8 here at Grand Prix Atlanta. Friends watching the game, applaud.
Big smile there from Carlos.
Congrats to him, 2002 world champion in the top 8 here, Grand Prix Atlanta.
Tough loss for Morgan Tomlinson. Looks
Yep.
like he's taking it okay, though.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, if you can hear in the background, big cheers from Carlos's buddies
Certainly do.
here in the feature match area. Look at the rest of our players here. Got plenty of other great matches, all win-and-ins here in the feature match area.
One of them down.
One down.
3 to go. That will actually leave us with a total of 6 of our top 8 competitors. I don't want to use the word locked in, but locked in.
Who do we got?
We got Cash Turner and Geddes Cooper. They're eating a hamburger somewhere. They're done.
Yeah.
They were the top 2 seeds coming in at 39 and 42 match points. Everybody below them in the next group was 36, and we're watching 8 of the 36s battle it out here.
Carlos Romao locking up his seat. Other matches in the feature match area, Kenneth Cordell versus Noah Walker, and Chris Fennell versus Kyle Peters.
Looks like Chris Fennell's pretty focused there.
Oh, yeah. Intimidating.
He can be an intimidating presence when he wants to be.
When you sit down to play a game of Magic competitively, Marshall, are you a foreboding presence?
I've been told that. I don't feel like I am though, because I just don't say anything.
Yeah.
I'm just quiet.
Yeah.
You know, I certainly don't try to be.
You're just here to win some games.
Yeah.
We can see that hand. Doesn't look so great.
Going to 5.
Yeah.
It is funny, you know, I mentioned earlier how Fennell, how he's been here before, but you can see it on his face. He's feeling it. He's all right. I mean, he's not freaking out, but like this means a ton to him. And he is just like one time, you know?
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's kind of, it's not great if you get to the point where you're just like, yeah, I don't know, I might top 8, whatever, we'll see. You know, like you want to care about it. You know, it matters. Put so much time and effort into that stuff.
All right, we're going to take a look at the match between Ray Perez and Evan Esposito. Tied up at 1-1. This is the game for top 8 here.
It's a pretty easy keep there for
Yeah,
Esposito.
I think so. Esposito scries. Decides to put it on the bottom.
These
Leads
players
off.
are both actually 12 and 2. This is the 15th round.
Inventor's goggles on turn 1 from Ray Perez. Evan plays his second planes and passes back. Doomed Operative is the play from Ray.
Love that card.
Yep.
Looks good with the goggles too, actually. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
High toughness, death touch with 4 power. That is not easy to deal with in the early stages. I don't see why Doomed Operative couldn't have just been an artificer.
Yeah. OP Marshall.
Yeah. I probably do know why. It doesn't make anything. Like all the artificers are like, hey, look, a Thopter or whatever.
Here comes Aerial Responder from Evan. 2/3, Flying, Lifelink, Vigilance. I played that card in a couple of drafts now, only to have my opponent respond. Can't beat it. Doomed Operative attacks for 3. Yeah, Unlicensed Disintegration takes down the responder.
That's brutal.
Deals 3 to Evan as well. You got to get rid of that card when you can.
Absolutely. Ray Perez, former Rookie of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, remember Ray? Ray Future Pro? That's Ray. He's just Ray Pro now. I like that.
Glincy the Artisan from Evan decides to make a servo. Ray on the red-black artifact plan. He's going to equip the goggles to the Doomed Operative and get in there. 4 damage. Reckless Fireweaver is the follow-up. Automatically gets goggles of its own.
I guess it's creating fire?
Sure. Or weaving fire, perhaps into a lovely basket.
Yeah, here's a present. Ow. Well, I wish the Doomed Operative was an artificer now. It's a rogue.
Evan's going to play a Propeller Pioneer.
This is a good old-fashioned fight here.
It is.
Evan's on a mulligan, but it doesn't seem to have slowed him down too much.
Going to create a servo. Pass back. I think he also has a Fairgrounds Warden in hand, just in case Ray plays anything he can't deal with. In come Ray's creatures. That Reckless Fireweaver, 5 toughness.
It's only attacking for 2, but it's kind of a pain. Evan's
Yeah.
at 10, and the Fireweaver, can be annoyingly good in the late game.
Anytime Ray plays an artifact, pings Evan.
Yeah, just 1 point of damage, but you get in for 2 or 3 extra, and it can really add up.
Quicksmith and Genius is a play from Ray. Evan's going to take a second to read it. Lets you rummage. Play an artifact. Also gets the goggles.
Apparently an artificer
Yeah.
as well. We're learning a lot today.
Embral Bruiser enters tapped from Ray. 3/1, which has menace thanks to the goggles being an artifact.
That's a good little 2.
Oh, it absolutely is.
I like that card.
As we see with Malphus Squad, 3/1 menace. Pretty annoying.
It is, and that costs 4 mana.
Yeah.
This one comes down way sooner. Now, it doesn't always have menace, but sometimes it does. It's pretty good.
Fairgrounds Warden, the play from Evan. Ooh, he's going to steal the Bruiser. Lock it down.
Interestingly, for Evan Esposito, the Fairgrounds Warden, it varies wildly how good it is. It's always good.
Right.
Like here, looks good. But depending on what colors your opponent is playing, it does vary. And this is the absolute worst
Yes, it
two-color
is.
pair that he could see for keeping a 1/3 Fairgrounds Warden on the battlefield. It is a lightning rod
Yeah.
for many different removal spells, all of which Ray could have access to.
Ray, no fear. Coming in. Servo is going to chump the Quicksmith Genius. Drops to 9. Eager Construct the play from Ray. Party Scry. Evan bottoms. Ray tops. And I think we're seeing a pretty perfect example of red-black artifact aggro from Ray.
It's not bad, though. I will say, I'm looking at his list right now, Maria,
Yeah.
and he is definitely missing a little bit of removal. He's got 2 Die Youngs, which is fine. He does have a Midnight Oil, by the way, which is a card that he can't cast at the moment, but if he does find it, could really propel him into the late game and take over this thing. He does have a Tidy Conclusion, but, you know, when you think of red, you're thinking like Harness Lightning,
Sure.
0.
Chandra's Pyro Helix.
Zip.
Yeah.
And Welding Sparks. And
Welding
he has
Sparks.
none of those either.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
He has Unlicensed Disintegration, but he's still missing ones you would expect him to have.
that's right. And he just has the one of those.
He's going to crash in here. Yeah, tough spot for Evan, putting his Fairgrounds Warden in front of the Quicksmith Genius. Embral Bruiser comes back to Ray.
Yeah, he is so far behind here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can think of one card he'd like to see here that's actually in his deck.
What?
Fumigate. I can think of another card that's actually in his deck that he'd like to see here.
What?
Angel of Invention.
Wow, I think he's holding the Fumigate, Marshall.
Is he really? Are you serious?
There it is. Fumigate.
Bam! Oh, man.
Gain 3 life.
What a blowout.
Wow. Passes back to Ray. What do you have?
This is going to be rough.
Here comes another Reckless Fireweaver.
Well, you can equip it. So I think what happened is that he... All right, it looks like he's going to pay the mana to equip it. No, he's going to equip it for free.
Oh, I see. Evan had a counterspell for that eager construct.
That's crazy. They did work it out. That's how it should. I mean, Ray has a chance to say, okay, I have the ability. There's a trigger on the stack that I can do this if I want. But this could be bad for Evan. He still needs something. He doesn't need much. He really doesn't.
No.
Oh, no.
Malphite Doorbuster.
Oh, no. What a great follow-up for Ray.
Gets 2 energy, can make something unable to block. Is that a Cloud Blazer I see?
Cloud Blazer would be very good here to buy him the turn he needs to cast these spells that he draws, whatever they may be.
I think he drew a Glint Sleeve Artisan. And
If he can
Flames.
cast that this turn.
There we go.
Oh, good read. This looks nice for him, actually. This mitigates the Doorbuster. He should probably just make a 1/1 here. Remember, the Doorbuster is a 4/2, so the Glint Sleeve Artisan can trade for it at some point anyway. And same thing with the Cloud Blazer. So you may as well just have a 1/1 sitting there. And again, with Ray, not on that much spot removal. A couple of Die Youngs in his deck that he could actually cast here. You know, this might work out for him.
Ray 2 cards in hand, yet Evans out of cards. So Ray, with the benefit of perfect information at the moment.
Yeah, and you know what I saw, what did actually happen, I'm hearing from our floor judge, that Ray had missed the trigger, kind of.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It was like one of those, like, he started to tap mana, so he probably was doing something else.
I see.
But it's sort of in between. But Evan was like, no, you can have the trigger. And so they cleared it up being a friendly opponent.
Oh, that's
which
really
which I think
nice.
is really good.
That's really good.
Yeah, I mean, look, if he had gone to attacks or something, it's like, sorry,
yeah,
dude.
no, you missed
But
it.
he didn't even put anything else on the stack. I think it's pretty cool of Evan to let him have that
Absolutely. Cloud Blazer jumping in front of Malphus Doorbuster. Sky Skiff from Ray.
one. Okay, these are big draw steps now for Evan. We know he's out of gas.
Oh, it's going to help him out a little bit here. Give him a scry.
Okay, he'll take it. I'll tell you that. He wants to see that Angel of Invention so bad.
Planes, select for inspection.
Well, he could use that right now, or he can wait. He's considering both options. There's probably not a big reason to do it right now. He probably just wants to wait, get more information about how Ray constructs this turn. Maybe there's a haste creature. Maybe there's something that Evan wasn't thinking of.
Yeah.
Maybe he can even get him to use a card like Built to Last.
Salivating Gremlins comes in.
He's going to crew the skiff.
Ray crashes in. Important scry off that select for inspection as well.
Absolutely. He's going to be, he just got a scry from the construct, and now he's going to get another scry from select, and boy, does he need them. He should go to blocks first here. And he should probably just put the glint sleeve artisan in front of the dog.
Yeah.
And then have Ray say, okay, I pass priority.
He's going to bounce a Sky Skiff.
Okay.
Bottom. That's not it.
He's churning through that library.
Sure enough, Artisan blocking the Eager Construct.
Yeah, the downside, I guess, is Ray completely out of cards? No, he does have a card in hand. You just don't want to see Built to Smash there. Okay, he was actually completely out of cards. The only card in hand was the Sky Skiff. So the way it was clear, he just drew Angel's Invention.
You called it, Marshall.
Scry to the bottom, scry to the bottom. Ding! Now he's got to figure out
What do you do?
what he wants to do.
Here it comes. Ray is just like, why won't you die?
Oh my God. This is why this card is one of the best cards in the set. I think he needs to make servos here, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
If he does, he'll have 2 2/2s on the ground for blockers and the 1/1, or excuse me, the 2/1 flyer in the air, plus the servo. Now, if he puts the counters on it, he can certainly block the Sky Skiff. He likely can block the Gremlins. And he still has a block with the servo.
Wow.
For the Fireweaver as well, which only has 2 power. You know,
I don't know.
he may just need to risk
know.
it. I actually think he just needs to put the counters on it.
It's so risky to let that Sky Skiff come in.
Yeah, I think he just should put the counters on it. Like, if it gets blown up, you just say, yeah, well, you had it.
Yeah.
So I think the play here is just put 2+1/+1 counters on it and pass the turn. He will not die unless Ray top decks something. And I think that's what Evan needs to do here.
Doing.
I like this. This is the right play. It's tempting, but the Sky Skiff really throws a wrench into the works here because it can attack cleanly past the 2/1 Angel. Ray's got to find something. If he doesn't, Evan gets to start attacking.
It has vigilance and lifelink.
Lifelink as well.
All right, he's screwing the skiff.
Oh.
Putting the goggles on it.
Yep, it will fall off after. And this is going to force a block here.
Yep, he must block it.
Yep. He forced Ray into this play. He gets to gain 4 life here and kill the skiff. Oh, sorry, he doesn't actually get to kill the skiff. It's 5 toughness now. Wow,
yeah.
that is really, really tough for Evan.
Yeah.
He drew one of the best cards in the set there, and Ray just calmly dispatched it. Though Evan should be at 7 life here.
Markless Fireweaver going to crew the skiff.
And I think we're going to see the end of the game here, Maria. Is this Ray making top 8?
Could be. Servo jumps in front.
It's going to go down to 2. Down to 4, excuse me.
All right, Toolcraft Exemplar.
Well, it's better than a land. Do not believe it's going to get the job done here, though. He can attack with both creatures on the ground. And he can just equip the skiff to get in for 3.
Yeah, has to jump block, take 2.
Oh, he didn't actually have a creature to crew the skiff and enable an attack.
Now there
with
it
everything.
is. There's a handshake. Ray Perez is into the top 8 here at Grand Prix Atlanta.
Wow.
Wow.
We've got a couple of other updates, too.
Sure, what do you got?
If you want to hear those.
I do.
We can give those, right, Rashad? I don't want to. Okay. I see that Noah won 2-1,
all right.
and Chris Fennell also won 2-0. He is currently on the phone changing his flight.
Wow. Fantastic. Well, we will be back here to watch the top 8 Grand Prix Atlanta.